Yeah, I enjoyed your tweets at 5 this morning.
You missed the changeover, though. It changed over, from what I hear.
Was it worth it? Okay. No. You muted it. Escape out of this.
It was muted.
I
unmuted it.
You good?
Wait, Billy's not out yet.
Oh, okay. We can
Then he's
wait.
gonna walk
Oh, he's in
across.
class, you mean? Gotcha.
Yeah, the students just got out.
All right.
There's Hunter and Dominic are out.
Next week is Rich Rum, as always,
As always.
with the classic opening and closing briefing. And that will be the last
Just
weather
try to
briefing
stand
I am
up straight.
responsible for.
Oh, Ryan, the beginning of the end.
Pass it on the torch.
Hi, Kyle.
You switched it back. Is that good, Amanda?
Maybe we can get you. What? Yeah. Right. Okay, well, I'm getting impatient because it's now 12:36.
All right, so when Bill walks across, I'll just heckle him. You can.
You're making a joke of popcorn?
No, I brought popcorn. Bill came here when there's absolutely no weather happening. So take some and pass it around. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't think you have that. Okay. I don't want to make you say, there he comes.
All righty. We weren't allowed to start till you near it. So.
All right, now we can get started.
Alrighty, so thanks very much for coming.
Keep it down there.
It's a busy week, so thank you. It's a nice attendance on a relatively quiet weather week. We have Marisa Ferger here, who has worked for the department now for 10, 12 years. She's been around for 13. That was close.
We're getting
her
old,
Weather
Ryan.
Communications group appears on Weather World, so it does a lot of forecasting, and it should be a good briefing. So thank you, Marisa.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate all of you being here today, considering there is really not anything happening with the weather that's very exciting. So we're going to start by taking a look back at what has been happening. Ben threw this graphic together for the show the other day, and this is just some locations across Pennsylvania. We did have a viewer respond and ask about the Harrisburg number. According to the Weather Service, Harrisburg actually had their third warmest, so I think it had to do with a tenth of a degree. But fourth warmest November here in State College. So as you guys all know, it's been very warm here. It's also been warm in New York. We went to Twitter and got some more information there. Central Park had their warmest November on record. And what was interesting to me with all of this is that they were all the stations around New York City were their first, second, third, or fourth. But if you look, all of the numbers are pretty incredible, 4 to 5 degrees above the average for November. So impressive warmth. Also, for the fall season, which would be September, October, and November, Central Park had their warmest fall on record as well, meteorological fall, with an average temperature of 61.8 degrees. Newark, JFK, and Islip also had their warmest fall on record, and LaGuardia tied theirs. So a very warm stretch. And putting it into perspective, I thought the Weather Service in Upton did a nice job with this as well. Their average temperature in November was 52.8 degrees in Central Park, and they compared it to other cities that have temperatures around that average around that. So they compared it to Raleigh, Little Rock, Huntsville, and Memphis. So that's how warm November was in New York. Twitter, if you're not on Twitter yet, there's all sorts of fun weather information that floats out there, and a lot of reputable sources that put it out there. There are some that you want to stay away from. Western New York, it was also warm. Buffalo, the Buffalo office, 7th warmest, 9th driest, and tied for 2nd least snowiest November on record. And then this other interesting fact was that their latest first measurable snowfall in Buffalo was December 3rd, 1899. And they tweeted that last week, 27th, that's Friday. And I don't think they've had measurable snow. So that's another impressive fact. Chris Stickney, I'm dedicating this to you. Not that you went home at all in November, but it's also been extremely warm and wet in Florida. These are the daily records that have been set or tied in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Naples and West Palm Beach, what's to me is incredible is these high minimum temperatures. Look at how many days in the month of November. Fort Lauderdale set 12 of them, Naples set 13. That's just some warm and disgusting nights in that part of the world. They also had the record warmest November in Tallahassee. Tallahassee also had their warmest fall, and Fort Lauderdale and Naples also had their record warmest Novembers. Eric Lake from the National Hurricane Center put this out there the other day that 26 states had sites with the warmest meteorological fall on record. Again, that's September to November, and no states had a top 10 coolest. So it was warm all across the lower 48. And been wet in Texas. Texas was dealing with drought for so long, and then last May they had a lot of rain, and then again here in November. And last Friday they had 3.45 inches at DFW, and that on that day put them over the edge for the wettest November on record, over 9.8. They ended up with 9.86 for the month of November, and with over a month to go, they're already at their wettest year on record. So as of last Friday, it was up to 58.76. So that to me is pretty impressive as well. Waco also had their wettest fall on record, 21.82 inches in just the month of, or in just the months of September, October, and November. We know that we had a very inactive hurricane season in the Atlantic. I think there were only 14 named storms. The Pacific was just the opposite. NASA's hurricane webpage put out that the Central Pacific shattered its record with 14 named storms, including 8 hurricanes, 5 of which were major hurricanes, and reliable records for the Pacific only go back to 1971. And then they also had the fun fact in the Central Pacific that they had 3 major hurricanes churning at the same time. And if you've ever seen that satellite picture, it's pretty cool to see. And the Eastern Pacific also shattered their records with 18 named storms, 13 hurricanes. 9 of those became major. And of course, you guys know about Patricia and Sandra were pretty bad storms. So that's what we saw there. And also other interesting facts, it was wet in the southeast. Asheville had their wettest November on record with over 7.5 inches of rain, and Charlotte had their wettest November on record with over 10 inches of rain. So pretty exciting. November is bringing us to a not so exciting big start to December. If we come back. Except for today, we have a little bit of weather going on here, but unfortunately it's not going to last. We had that cold front sweep through last night. Had some nice winds here this morning. It finally felt a little bit like winter this morning because of those winds. It wasn't super cold. I think it was 36 degrees when I left my house, but you could sure feel it with the winds that were howling out of the west. Gusts right now in parts of eastern Pennsylvania going to 22 miles per hour. But most of the precipitation staying well to our north. Even Syracuse right now is rain. You have to go all the way up to New England to get any of the snow that is out there. We did have a little bit of snow out here this morning, just a few flakes. I did hear of complaints on Seven Mountains that people said the driving was a little bit slow, but if you look at the Weather Service, Carbon County, Pennsylvania, and Inch, I mean, these public information reports are not very exciting. When we're talking about snow that's only an inch that falls, to me, shows that we're really trying hard to get what we are also working. Feel free to chime in, everyone, because, again, there's not much to talk about. If we look at the current surface map, can you guys see that? Yeah. So we've got this system now exiting in the Canadian Maritimes. Right now we had that cool air coming in behind it, but this area of high pressure here in the southern Mississippi Valley is really going to just move in and hang tough for the next, not just couple of days. It looks like the upper air pattern is setting up that, again, it's going to be pretty boring here. This is what's happening right now. We've got the active jet here along the eastern seaboard, but that's going to push out and we're going to have a ridge build in, and it's really not going to do much until early to middle next week, and even that isn't looking too exciting on most places, or for most places. If you want to see the setup over the past couple of days, this takes us back, I think, till last week. Yeah, last Friday. And again, we just had this pattern that we had been stuck in, which has been nice. I'm not complaining. But if you're a snow lover, this is not happening here. And the next ridge is going to build in as well. So let's take a look. I have not actually looked at the 12Z stuff yet. We'll go to the GFS. I'll try to get as much of it on there as I can. So we have the system, and I'll show the European after this. That system in the Canadian Maritime starts to move out, and we see the surface high moving in and this upper level ridge that builds in. And if you haven't gotten your Christmas tree yet this weekend, good time for it. If you need to take a study break and go for a nice little hike or go for a run this weekend, it's going to be perfect because it's going to be dry until the beginning of next week. And there is this coastal storm that starts to form on some of the models, but notice it's going to be really warm. So it's really not going to be all that exciting because if any precipitation does make it this far west, I think it's going to be in the form of rain. Now let me just run to the European and then we'll look at the long range stuff. Not going to let me. There we go. Oops. I'm a Mac person, so this is the world of PC is not a world I like to live in. No, there's no in between there. So once we get this cold shot that moves out and this ridge builds in, you'll notice the two bottom panels here. The bottom left is your surface temperatures in Fahrenheit, and your bottom right is the 850 millibar temperatures in Celsius. And once you get below freezing, it's, you can't tell on the surface one. On the below freezing is that white line here on the surface, and then this black line here on the 850s. But you'll see that we stay relatively warm for the next couple of days. This does not look like we're going into the second week of December. And just so you guys know, I think average first measurable snow in State College is around, I think it's, is it November 24th? And Bill did some searching for us the other day. The latest is December 23rd, December 26th. But a couple of dates in the 20s, we have some missing data. So we'll see if we can go that far for no measurable snow. The European does not show us, does not give us much hope for any of the snow word either. And Dr. Neese showed me these web pages that we could talk about in the extended, for the long range forecast. This is the CFS 16 member ensemble. It's the mean forecast. The top one shows you from December 3rd, so today through the 9th, which would be next Wednesday. And notice again, there's these this is incredible here in central Canada. It's just warm. There's just above average temperatures, it looks like, most places in the northern hemisphere. And that continues into week 2, which takes us from the 10th to the 16th, so through your finals week. But notice as these progress, remember where these pinkish colors are here. As we go forward, they sag a little bit south there, and then as we go into week 3 and 4, this is now the 17th to the 23rd, so leading just up to Christmas. Notice how far it starts sagging now into New England. Not good for the ski resorts up there. And then this goes all the way out to the 24th to the 30th, so to the end of the month. And I mean, it goes all the way down into the southeast. So
did the scale change on this?
Yes.
let's see.
So,
Yeah, it goes to 12, and then this 3rd and 4th, they go. It's still 3.5 though, so still. That would be a little warm. But still, this does not offer a ton of hope for the snow geese out there that like to squawk about snow. So if you don't mind, we're going to go ahead now, and I'm just going to talk to you guys, since there's not much to talk about with current weather, 2 websites that people related to Penn State have put together. One has been around for a couple of years, and one is brand new. And the first one, for those of you snow lovers, is opensnow.com. And Joel Gratz graduated from here 2003, I think. He was on the ski team here, and he loved everything about snow and skiing, so he ended up going out to Boulder, Colorado, and after getting a master's, and I think it was in something like risk management or something like that, he started this company, and it now boasts forecasts for ski places all over the country, and I already get those, so it's okay if I hit not now. But these are all of the people on the left that forecast for him, and all of the different locations where they do forecasts. So, for example, we can click on Pennsylvania, not that it's going to be very exciting. His day 1 to 5 forecasts for all these ski resorts don't really show very much happening. Oh, Tussey Mountain's on here, so that's exciting for us. But he also goes out to 6 to 10 day. And again, we're not going to have any hope here. Oh, that you have to be a pass holder to visit. But great site. So if any of you are planning any trips over the break to go to any of these places, if you want to go, to New Hampshire, we're going to go to New Hampshire. Somebody wants to travel to New Hampshire. You know, there's not much there. Not much there. But if we dare to dream and we can go to Colorado over the break. What's Breckenridge? This is just the forecast. This is not what they have a lot. Yeah, they have a lot on the ground currently, but this is just what the forecast snow is. And you can go to the Powder Finder, but this is just if you're a skier or if there is ever you'd like, and you can subscribe to his weekly emails. Joel sends these out once a week, and he was just here a few weeks ago with that emergency management seminar. Great guy. So. And the Pacific Northwest keeps getting pounded. They're having a nice little storm right now. But unfortunately, it's just going to piddle out as it goes across the northern plains, and we're not going to see anything exciting from it. The other website I want to show is brand new, and some of you might have seen it. It's 2 of the founding members are here now. I don't see the third. Sunsetweather.com. Ben Reppert, Jake DeFlitch. Where did Jake go? Oh, Jake's right there. Ben and Jake graduated last May. Jake is a forecaster for AccuWeather. Ben is working with us here in the WeatherCom group. And this gives you the latest sunrise and sunset forecasts. And this is just a really cool tool if you're into photography. Let's see. This was from last night. What time does it come out today? Okay. So, obviously, last night's sunset was, there was actually a little bit of one, wasn't there? I did notice you guys they put a case study on here, which is kind of cool. They've been very active on social media, and you guys have done a very nice job of connecting with people and going back and forth. Oh, and Steve Hallett is the other, he's one of our, is he a senior this year? Or, no, sophomore. He's only a sophomore, and he's part of this. But there's one of their verifications. So there's from Rochester, from Mount Washington. So these reds show where it's going to be a vivid sunset, and the bluer colors are where you don't really have a chance of having a nice one. A couple of weeks ago, there was a great day in New York City where you guys really verified on that day. I think that was about 2 weeks ago. And there's also now a sunrise one that is coming out. And so it's just neat to see the stuff that comes out of the minds of people that enter this room and have the creativity. It's not just about the science of forecasting, but there's a lot of creativity that's thrown into this as well. So if you haven't checked out this one, this is really fun as well. And I think it's great that you guys have already made a name for yourselves in just the past couple of days. It was mentioned on Good Morning America the other day. It was on Slate.com the other day. So all sorts of publicity, which is great. So it's in the Penn State weather briefing now. So is there anything in specific, anything specific that anybody wanted to see? I did have a request for a white Christmas forecast, and I think Chad gave the best answer, which was there's a chance between 0 and 100%. Chad's forecasting skills are really, he goes, as he says, he goes for accuracy, not precision, which I can appreciate. I think with the way that those patterns look in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be tough to get some cold air in here. It's a shame because the lakes are so warm. We could be getting some really good, I feel like it's a waste of warm water right now there in the lakes because we're not getting the cold air to get the lake effect, which could be really, really fun this time of year. There really hasn't been much in the way of lake effect at all this year. I know Erie's had a little, Bradford's had a little, but it's been very quiet and boring, kind of like this weather briefing. So, I don't know, is there anything else? If I had known 2 months ago that picking this date was going to be like this, I would have picked another date, but I'm not that good of a long-range forecaster, apparently. Bill, you have a phone call. Anybody have anything they'd like to?
Anything else from Marisa? All right, thank you very much.
Next week. You want to say it?
Yeah, next week, as always, throughout the semester, we'll have Rich from again from the National Road.
And then that's it. Then you guys get to enjoy life without us for a while.